We're learning more this afternoon about the Texas Synagogue standoff from one of the people that was held hostage.
He's sharing details about the suspect's behavior as the ordeal stretched to nearly 11 hours before coming to an end. Omar Villafranca is in Colleyville, Texas, with the latest from that investigation.
It was very real. We were all very aware of what was going on.
In an interview with CBS station KTVT, hostage Jeffrey Cohen described being held at gunpoint for nearly 11 hours and what he thought might be his final moments at Congregation Beth Israel.
It was very difficult. I called my wife, I called my daughter, called my son. This is what's going on. I love you. And remember me.
One of the hostages was released at 5 p.m. local time, but as negotiations dragged from day to night, Cohen said that Akram grew more belligerent.
He started spouting for a good few minutes. I was going to put a bullet in each of us, whereas earlier in the day, he was going to let us all go, and he was the only one who was going to die.
But before the FBI's elite tactical unit went in, the three remaining hostages saw an opportunity to save themselves.
But he put his gun down to pour some soda. And that's the point that Rabbi Charlie threw the chair and yelled, "Run."
This is how Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker described it to CBS Mornings on Monday.
The exit wasn't too far away. I told them to go. I threw a chair at the gunman, and I headed for the door. And all three of us were able to get out without even a shot being fired.
The three escaped through a side door, and the FBI sprang into action. Within seconds, Akram was shot dead, the hostages alive and free. Members of the synagogue had been through active shooter training, much like this, and credit that in part for getting through the ordeal.
That is what saved our lives.
Meanwhile, the FBI and DHS are warning that faith-based communities will likely continue to be targets of violence by both domestic extremists and those inspired by foreign terrorists, those targets to be used in attacks to promote personal grievances or ideologies. The FBI is now combing through the suspect's financial records and social contacts, looking for a link to extremism. At a nearby healing service in Southlake, Texas, local officials were pointing to the rise of radicalization during the pandemic, and they're vowing to protect places of worship. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Colleyville, Texas.